Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop. All the news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's the host.
Welcome to Inside Scoop. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and joining me tonight is Lisa Whetzel, who's the Executive Director of Britepaths, formerly Our Daily Bread, Inc. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
So, full disclosure, I'm a member of the Board of Directors of Britepaths, formerly Our Daily Bread, and I've been with the organization, I guess, 6 years?
Something like that, yeah.
You've been with the organization a lot longer than that.
Right, since 2005. So Our Daily Bread began 32 years ago, actually, as an interfaith effort to provide food assistance to the homeless. And so we've got a collection of congregations that started that effort. And within about 10 years, we added financial assistance, and then we added our two seasonal support programs, Holiday Assistance and Back to School program. And then I was hired in 2005 to launch the financial literacy program. And at that time, we were serving about 15 to 20 families, teaching them basic budgeting skills. And today, we're actually teaching 600 families.
Because we're now doing that not only through Britepaths, but we are doing that through a variety of
partnership with other nonprofits
around Fairfax. And then a couple of years ago, we launched the Project Bridge program, and that was an idea that generated out of the staff's desire to really move people from that need of financial assistance and food assistance to being in a position where they didn't need that kind of assistance anymore. And so Project Bridge was launched, and then we absorbed another nonprofit called the Naomi Project a couple of years ago, and that provides mentoring support for high-risk women. So you can see over the 32 years, we've really evolved, from Our Daily Bread to an organization that is not just putting food on the table, but also putting food on the table and a lot more, really trying to move people to long-term self-sufficiency. So the name change and the rebranding certainly was not something that was decided overnight by any means.
No, we have had this discussion for probably, I don't know, the past 10 years we've been talking about it, because the Our Daily Bread brand is not unique to us. There's multiple Our Daily Bread organizations, entities out there, and
they all do different things.
And they all do very different things. I mean, you've got a bakery, you've got a coffee shop, you've got a huge homeless shelter, you've got the daily devotional, and so we get donations that are sent to us by mistake. We get phone calls, asking if we have gluten-free bread baking in the oven. So, that's sort of, a small portion of it. And really the main reason for us changing our name is because when we're out in the community, people assume that we do one program, and they don't consider us to get involved in all the other things that we do. And we wanted a name that truly reflected what we do and where we want to go.
And the number of volunteers we have also is very reflective of where we've come from, the faith communities who used to actually go out on the weekend to do food deliveries, and that has changed over the years, to the number of people who have been financial literacy teachers, to mentors, and now with the Project Bridge program too. I mean, how many
life skills classes?
Yeah, so how many volunteers are there altogether?
Right, we have about 1,200 volunteers, and that's not including people who sponsor families for the holiday, holiday assistance. This is just for our other programs, and it takes a lot of people to deliver the weekly food groceries to our 60 families per month, and so that's the bulk of them. But we've got some amazing volunteers that are very, they're savvy, and they have just a tremendous heart and work ethic to help the families that we serve, because they see how hard these families are working, and that they are in a situation where they
you know, they need credible advice, they need accountability, they need people that will believe in them so that they can then believe in themselves and think that they can do more with, you know, the skills that they are, the, you know, what they have
to work
their disposal.
with. I know, and that's so let's talk about the profile of the typical person and the path through which they actually come to Britepaths.
Right.
Where do these people come from? Who are they? What would be kind of a profile of our typical kind of client?
Right. So our typical client is probably a single mom with 2 kids, and she is usually working, and she has a decent job, but that decent job doesn't help her make ends meet. So she's making maybe $20,000 a year, and you know, and that's more than you would make if you were making minimum wage, but still not very much. And so, you know, those folks are, you know, your hairdresser, maybe your preschool teacher, your receptionist at your school, your mechanic, your grocer, you know, a retail clerk, and you know, those are decent jobs, but they don't pay enough to be able to afford living in this area. And you know, the typical rent for a 2-bedroom apartment is about equivalent to how much they make in a year.
Right.
And you know, it just doesn't leave any wiggle room for any emergencies or school supplies, or you know, if their transmission goes out, what do? They pay their rent, or do they, you know, pay for the transmission that helps them get to the work so that they can earn the money to pay for the rent?
So by the time they come to us, they are generally in a full-blown crisis.
Right, right. So when they come to us through for food assistance or for financial assistance, we're trying to help them avoid homelessness, because you know, once you get into homelessness, it is almost like a 2-year cycle that it just perpetuates the you know, you just have one ding after another. Your credit score goes down. You know, it's just harder to get another apartment. It's also a huge stigma. It's stressful on your kids, and so we try to keep people in their homes with giving them rental assistance, utility assistance, and the food assistance that we provide. And then for those folks that we find that are truly motivated to better their situation, then we'll try to get them into a financial literacy class, which we offer, you know, once a month throughout the county, and it rotates to different locations throughout the county, and they're free, and it's a 2-hour class that is taught by a volunteer, a trained volunteer. And then if they show more interest, then we might enroll them in our financial mentoring program, 6-month program, where they establish some goals, like getting a budget together, and then maintaining that budget over 6 months, meet twice a month with the client, and that's really our most impactful program, because you've got someone like you or me. They don't have to be a CPA or a financial advisor, but they can just be someone that they can trust to give them advice. And a lot of times the clients will say, I wish that I had known this 20 years ago.
Right, because there's
I would
a lot
be in a different situation.
And there's a lot, and that's true of young people, which is why I'm glad to see financial literacy is actually being taught in the high schools, and it's a requirement.
Yes.
Because we need young people getting out, understanding credit rates and credit cards
and how it
and
impacts your
borrowing.
life. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And so these people do start behind the 8 ball, and so you're starting from the ground up. And sometimes we're talking about people who are also struggling just because they're new to the area, they're new to the country, maybe English is not their first language. So all of these things are contributing factors.
Right, right. And they I lost my thought. So anyway, so one of the other things that we do, especially with Project Bridge, is help them to increase their skills to get a better paying job. So you've got someone, for example, who cleans houses or is a nanny, and maybe she needs English classes, or maybe she needs computer classes. You know, she's never been exposed to that before, and so if we can give her this stipend in order to go and take those classes, then she, you know, over the course of the year, she'll be in a position to get a better paying job. And so we're really proud of some of the success stories that have come out of Project Bridge. They've all been able to increase their savings, decrease their debt, improve their credit score, sometimes completely eliminate their debt, and then also take those computer classes, like through Computer Core and what have you.
Yeah, because we do work collaboratively with other organizations that provide the things that we don't provide, which is really the core of Project Bridge, is those wraparound services and finding the exact thing they need for their exact situation.
Right, and so the Britepaths logo, we absolutely love it because the star piece of it, you see all the little dots, and that represents to us all of the different points at which we find to bring services or help those clients in need. So it could be another nonprofit that has a service that we don't provide, like not Dress for Success, but there's one out in Herndon that we send our clients to. But then we have auto repair discount, or we teach them other life skills classes that are taught by volunteers, professional volunteers, and then we also have the case manager, and we've got donors and other volunteers. So all those dots represent all the different people that help our clients. So it's pretty cool for us to think about. And then that center circle within that circle of dots is what we like to describe as the constant, credible support that we give to each one of the clients. And you can't say enough about someone believing in you. You think of your parents doing that for you, and maybe they have been transient and they don't have people in the local community that is there for them to give them that kind of support. And it really moves mountains when you have someone, really
in your corner, right, and encouraging you and making you believe that you can do something that you're not necessarily sure you can do yourself. Right. And you're right. And I've said before that I think what is the difference between people like myself who've been single and had kids and is family or not having family. In other words, a support network or not a support network. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, please join us. We're going to talk more about Britepaths.
Art, a universal language, an expression of culture, of self. And now, thanks to Empowered Women International, a way for emerging and established immigrant and refugee artists and artisans to find hope to earn a living while enriching the lives of all of us. Empowered Women International, making a better America every day. For more information on Empowered Women International's educational programs or to make a tax-free donation, contact cfrip at AOL.com.
You'd think it would be easy to tell which kids have trouble with their eyesight. But that's not always the case. Even though 1 in 4 children may have a vision problem, eye doctors tell us the symptoms aren't always so obvious. We do know that 80% of all childhood learning is visual. And without good vision, kids can have trouble learning to read and may fall behind in school. For clues on how to spot the real-life signs of childhood vision problems and what parents can do, visit checkyearly.com. A public service message from the Vision Council of America and Reading is Fundamental.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Welcome back to Inside Scoop. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and with me tonight is Lisa Whetzel, Executive Director of Britepaths, formerly Our Daily Bread. Thank you again, Lisa, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we were talking as we went on break about the fact that, teaching people financial literacy, helping them to understand that budgeting and those kinds of things are within their realm to learn how to do. I want to talk a little bit about how programs have changed over a period of time, and let's start with our emergency food pantry.
Sure, yeah.
The faith communities, how people donated, and what it looks like now.
So, it originally started out as a program that was different congregations would collect lots of food and non-perishable food items and deliver those food items to the families. And we still have congregations and businesses and all sorts of community groups that do that for us today. And we really appreciate it, and we don't want it to discontinue. But it has evolved, and it has evolved because we have listened to our clients and what they want. And I think that's a really important message that I want to be able to communicate to the public. So we do an annual client survey every year, and we have found that the response to the gift cards that the clients receive are very favorable, and we saw that repeated year after year, and with a larger, with an increase of
in the number of gift cards, right?
Number of gift cards, and the reasons that they stated that they wanted the gift cards as opposed to just food donations is because their family has certain dietary restrictions, or they have allergies, which is much more prevalent nowadays than it ever was, and then there's cultural differences in the foods that we eat. We live in a very diverse community, and so what you grew up eating is not the same thing that other people might have grown up eating, and so we would have volunteers that would go into the homes, and sometimes they would help them put their groceries away, and they saw 10 rows of beans or peanut butter.
Peanut butter is another one, yeah.
And some families don't eat that, and they don't want to throw it away. And so anyway, we decided when we had 2 of our donated pantries, storage facilities shut down, we decided, well, maybe this is something we should try to do, is really try to educate the public about gift cards, and that our clients are asking for gift cards in addition to the food donations. And then what we found is that our financial mentors really loved it when our clients were using the grocery gift cards, because it gave them an opportunity to budget.
So it's a follow-on into the skills they're already using.
Right. And so it was training, and it's something that's coming every month, and it was planned, and so
you know how much it is.
Well-received,
so if it's a
right?
$50 gift card, or it's $100, and these are to like Shoppers Food Warehouse or Giant or Safeway or Walmart. Mm-hmm. So you've got this amount of money, and then you have to decide
how are you going to feed your family,
just like everybody does, right? But they just have less to work with.
Right.
So then it becomes paramount to understand coupons, or understand price per unit, or understand shopping sales, or how to create menus both around the time that you have, and a lot of, and this is true of all of us who cook for other people. At the end of a work day, sometimes it's a time thing,
Right.
So these are all skills that I think are actually strengthened by the grocery gift cards. We're allowing people to learn, practice the skills.
Exactly,
that
they're practicing.
Absolutely.
And so, in working with the financial mentor who can, sort of hold them accountable. Like, are you staying within the budget that you created? What's preventing you from doing that? And then we have the bringing on the Project Bridge. We've been working with the Virginia Cooperative Extension, who has done life skills classes on nutrition, and so that's been a nice addition too, because we've got Our Daily Veggies. We've got to find a new name for that.
Our Daily Veggies, right?
Didn't quite.
I see the sign at the farmers market though, and I think it's wonderful.
But it's a partnership with the farmers markets all throughout Fairfax County, and we provide our clients that are on the food program vouchers that they can then use to get fruits, vegetables, and proteins at the vendors that we've got a partnership with. So every farmer's market, there is 1 or 2 vendors that are in partnership with us that will redeem those vouchers.
And I have to say personally too about the grocery gift cards that we use and why it's different from SNAP. I've heard a lot of criticism about a lot of programs, and the restrictions on SNAP really treat poor people as if A, they are going to make poor decisions, or B, the government has to decide for them what things are appropriate to feed their children.
Right.
And so this doesn't do that, and I like the fact that we are allowing people to, we're teaching them good nutrition, wellness, we're providing things like vouchers for fruits and vegetables, but SNAP does not allow a lot of variation in what you can buy.
Right, right. And so like SNAP, if I know this correctly, or WIC, you can't buy, I don't think that you can buy diapers, you can't buy toiletries, you can't buy household cleaning supplies.
Right.
And those are all necessities that people need. And so when in working with our community groups and congregations, we have shared our sort of new philosophy, and the response has been mostly favorable, but people are sort of, they like the experience that, the intergenerational experience of bringing everybody together. It's very hands-on, it's tangible food, you're organizing it, you're delivering it, and that's a beautiful experience, and we want that to continue, but they also understand, and so they are so a lot of our congregations are doing sort of half and half,
right,
which is wonderful.
And I think it's important because people volunteer for their own reasons. People don't volunteer for our reason. Volunteers volunteer for their reason, and so what they're getting out of it, or volunteering in the way that they've chosen to volunteer, says something about what they take away. And certainly with our financial literacy mentors, they walk away feeling like they got more even than they gave.
Yeah.
I mean, so volunteers, we have to respect the feelings of our volunteers. But we had a donor who had a very interesting story about a Thanksgiving dinner, as I recall, from Wine and Wonderment, when he was talking about taking the Thanksgiving dinner to a family, and it was exactly what he had fed his family for Thanksgiving dinner. But what he didn't understand is what they really appreciated were the grocery gift cards. Because there's something called the golden rule and there's something called the platinum rule. The golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But then you're presuming that we have shared values, that what you and I value is exactly the same.
Right.
Well, the platinum rule is you do unto others as they would have you do unto them. And those grocery gift cards meant that they could not just have a turkey dinner one day, but they could have groceries for a month. And he sort of had this aha moment, in that he comes from a different place, and he was delivering to his value system. And so I think whenever we volunteer or whenever we put ourselves out there to help,
it's a gift.
It's a gift, and we need to understand what it is that people value. But I think with things like the toiletries and the diapers and things like that, those are non-perishable items that will always be needed. They don't expire, they don't go out of date, and so, but people don't necessarily think people are in dire need of paper towel, or toilet paper, or spick and span. And so I think that's an education piece too.
Right. And so we are always, we've always got that kind of a list up on our website that talks about, the most wanted items. People make assumptions that the can of beans, the can of tuna, the can of corn, those things we just get in droves, and so trying to get people to look at and consider buying items that are low in sugar, low in salt, no fructose corn syrup, and things that they're mindful of those items too. And so just eating more healthfully is expensive, and so if they can get in, the grocery gift cards allows them to purchase them themselves, but it also just in educating the donors about the kinds of healthier selections that they could make.
There's a local food bank in DC, and I can't remember which one it is, but that has basically said they're not accepting donations of snack cakes or prepackaged things because they had been donated from retailers, and they're like, this is not healthy.
Yeah.
It's nutrition-free food, and therefore, even though we appreciate the thought of your donation, we're no longer going to accept these nutrition-free, high-sugar foods because it's leading to bad health outcomes.
Right. It's perpetuating bad health outcomes.
You know, it's like Steve Case, I think, is the one who is quoted as saying that good health starts at the end of your fork. And I think we all need to think about that when we donate food or when we think about food programs. It's like, what do you feed your family? Not so much is it turkey, but do you care about what your family eats? Is it fresh? Is it low in salt? Does it not have preservatives? And everybody deserves that kind of food. So I do think we need to do two things: educate the public on the things that are most helpful, but also help them understand that grocery gift cards, even though it doesn't come in a basket with a bow, is so appreciated by the people who receive it.
It's empowering. I think that's really the key message, is that it's empowering. You know, it allows them to do this, to practice the skills, but also it makes them feel more independent, that they can choose the kinds of products that they want. And I think that that's really important, to have them feel that, you know,
well, I think anybody who's ever cooked for kids also knows that, you know, just because you put it before them doesn't mean they're going to eat it.
Yeah.
And low-income children are no different from anybody's children.
Right.
You can say it's what we have, it's all we have, and they're still going to go, I'm not eating that. So, and I just think we need to kind of we need to wrap our arms around the fact that low-income people are not different from us. They're in a different situation.
Yeah.
But too often we look at poverty as a character flaw, and we somehow, I think many people think that somehow someone isn't doing everything they could, when in fact poverty is situational.
You know, just going back again to the gift cards, one of the pushbacks that we get is that you know, the donor doesn't have confidence in the client choosing the right products, and that's making the assumptions. But it's also, you know, it goes back to the idea that it is a gift, and I mean, you're always going to have people that take advantage of the system. But I think by and large, the majority of the clients that come through our doors, they're desperate. They want food to be able to give their kids, and so that their kids are not hungry, you know, going to bed at night. So it's you know, it's just something that we try to say continually, that it's a gift, and it's just a way to empower the clients.
Exactly, and I think going forward that, you know, as people become volunteers and work with our clients, they walk away, or I have seen them walk away with a tremendous respect for their commitment, how hard they work, and the odds stacked against them so often. And so I can appreciate the fact that our clients really are deserving of a lot of praise for all their efforts. Yes. And when we come back, we are going to talk a little bit more about some of the other programs that we offer. So join us after the break.
She's had more than a dozen fractures. And in the next few years, she faces 2 major surgeries to strengthen her fragile bones. She's only 10 years old. Most people don't worry about fragile bones until late in life. For those with osteogenesis imperfecta, brittle bones are a concern throughout their lifetime. Find out how you can strengthen this child's future.
Diabetes is a killer. After I was diagnosed, I didn't feel sick, so I didn't listen to my doctor. Then it struck. I had a heart attack, then a stroke, and I was only 49.
Most people with diabetes also have high blood pressure and cholesterol, which can cause severe heart damage. In fact, 2 out of 3 people with diabetes die from heart disease or stroke.
Don't let diabetes destroy your life.
Call for your free diabetes survival guide. Choose to live.
we're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Welcome back to Inside Scoop. I'm your host, Catherine Reed. Joining me tonight is Lisa Whetzel, who's the Executive Director of Britepaths, formerly known for 32 years, is Our Daily Bread, Inc. of Fairfax. Thank you so much for joining us, Lisa.
Thank you.
So one of the things that we've also grown into with Britepaths is advocacy, which is something for many years we didn't do it. Not every 501c3 engages in advocacy. There are restrictions and limitations around
what
advocacy versus
how much
lobbying.
Time you can spend doing
right.
that,
So 501c3s have restrictions, and yet you feel very strongly, I also feel very strongly about the fact that teaching people basic skills when they're in an environment where all the odds are against them, the cost of housing, the cost of transportation, the cost of daycare, the cost of food, that you can teach them better ways of doing it, but you can't necessarily overcome.
Right. Yeah, so we were, so I think it took me about five years to really get my head around the fact that we are not getting anywhere. We're going to continue to have the need for some of these programs, which, this term might not be so great, but is a Band-Aid, Right. It's definitely helping to avoid homelessness, but in order for clients to be truly self-sufficient, that their environment needs to change. I mean, part of that environment is the skills that they bring to the table and their work ethic, and also the opportunities that they are given, but also the fact that the lack of affordable housing in this area is a huge barrier. So in the last segment, we were talking about that annual clients survey.
Right.
And one of the reasons that we ask every year is what was the biggest contributing factor of why you came to Britepaths? And it's either medical reasons or they don't make enough to cover their rent. And so in partnership with other peer nonprofits, I began to learn more about the lack of affordable housing. And with each new study that comes out, just in the paper by George Mason University Center for Regional Analysis, that kind of data, the Commonwealth Institute, everybody's talking about the lack of affordable housing.
HUD is talking about it. Julian Castro called it a national crisis.
Right, and so we don't have there's not really a good solution out there, and I think that we've got to be creative. But Britepaths wants to have a seat at the table. We want to be able to be involved in conversations with our elected officials and with our chambers to bring the perspective of our clients, saying that they are doubled up in a 2-bedroom apartment. The one family has a bedroom,
right,
and then there's a padlock on the refrigerator door because whoever is leasing the apartment, they get rights to the refrigerator, and that's a horrible way to have to bring up your family, and but it is a reality, and so, what can we do about that? And so we've gotten involved with it in Fairfax City. We were able to work with city officials, and then they heard from clients and their stories. And so, for example, there was a nursing home that was right across the street of an apartment, Oak Knolls apartment complex that was considered affordable but dilapidated. And the nursing home owner was trying to make the argument that, look, I need these people to be literally across the street from their work, because when we get a foot of snow, those workers are the workers I can count on to provide the assistance for my 24/7 care facility for, all the residents of parents, all the parents of residents of Fairfax City. So we've got health home care workers that are in that situation, and all the kinds of people that we were describing earlier in the segment about who our clients are, and landscapers, the mechanics, and they have, I think that they have a right to housing that is affordable.
I would agree, and I think too that in addition to the housing, transportation. We have transportation deserts in the county. Centerville is one where if you don't have a car, you can't get to a job.
Or you can, but it takes you 2 hours
to get there.
To go 4 or 5 miles.
Right, and so transportation is an issue. The cost of food is an issue. The cost of childcare, or not providing safe, adequate childcare. Either way, it's a lose-lose situation. One of the things, and something. Creative thinking goes a long way. And when it comes to transportation, the thing I am most excited about right in this moment, in this time, is the project that has been launched by the county and the city of Fairfax is participating to give free bus passes to students in junior high and high school.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea
too. It's a game changer.
Because you've got kids that are sort of locked into their living situations and they can't get to other locations where some of the jobs are. I also think that it is creating a whole new generation of people that look favorably on mass transit.
Public transportation, because not owning a car.
Right now, I mean, I've had kids that were in high school, and nobody wants to be seen on the bus. And I spent some time in Europe when I was that same age, and everybody rode the bus. Everybody rode the.
And it actually gives you autonomy. But this is where the culture has to shift.
Yeah.
In other words, kids are ferried around to their dance classes and their after-school activity and their play practice and whatever, and a parent has to pick them up, drop them off, pick them up, drop them off.
Right.
If kids have a way to get on and off a bus and do it themselves, we are also creating a generation of self-sufficient people who can get themselves there and back on their own.
I mean, how many articles have you read about that talk about the helicopter parent and how kids are being they come of age of 20 and they're not resilient enough. They haven't had enough
independence and autonomy, right?
And I don't know the statistics, but I know that the bus is very safe, and so I think that we need to provide that kind of opportunity for our kids to be able to use that anyway. I think.
I see immediately when I heard about this program, which I believe is starting here this month in August, because they want the kids to actually start doing this before school starts. They can get an after-school job. They can stay at school for after school. There's a bus stop right outside Fairfax High School for the Q bus.
Right.
So they can do after-school activities. They can actually dual enroll in Northern Virginia Community College, right? Because you can take a bus there. There's so many things that they can volunteer.
Right.
There's so many things that kids will be able to do because they can get there without a car and without a parent having to pick them up and drop them off.
And that 75 cents fee that is the price of the ticket, I think it's 75 cents. It might be a little bit more, but that can be a barrier, And
Absolutely.
so you eliminate that, and you've got kids that are more autonomous. But going back to our clients, I mean, we definitely have clients that have kids that are working right now to help pay the rent.
Right.
And so it gives them more options.
Absolutely, it does. And I think where advocacy comes into play is us as an organization working with other organizations, realizing we can't just teach people skills if they're continually in an environment that does not allow them to be successful.
It goes hand in hand. It really goes hand in hand that we have to be able to look for those creative solutions and try to influence and promote those, like the Earned Income Tax Credit. I mean, I think that's a huge thing that we should try to do in this coming year's General Assembly. We'll be involved with that.
Absolutely, and that a lot of that hinges on getting free tax preparation services so that people know how to claim the Earned Income Tax Credit, both federally and at the state level, which Virginia falls in the middle of the pack. We are 24th out of 50 states in the percentage of people eligible who actually claim that tax credit. So we need to do better. There are more people who could be getting, and we're talking about a couple of $100 extra, but when you're in a lower tax, that pays bills. bills. That buys shoes.
Does. It can help you pay back rent.
Right.
I mean, it's that empowering, I think, for clients.
So we haven't really touched on the Naomi Project. So let's just do that real quick and talk about the fact that that's a new program to us, but it's been around for like 23 years.
Right. It's a program that we were really excited about because it reached a population that would be able to provide services right at the get-go of
a pregnancy.
Family starting.
Right.
So it's a mentoring program that supports high-risk pregnant women who to make sure that they attend all of their prenatal visits and well baby visits, and then provides them with free baby books to not only for the baby but also to the any siblings that are in the family. And I mean, studies have shown how empowering it is and how important it is for brain development to be talking to your child more, and so you've got a mentor who is providing that kind of modeling, and so the kinds of women that come to the Naomi Project, there are the teen moms, and then there are also a lot of immigrant women that don't know how to navigate the system.
Our system,
or maybe they didn't have the greatest of healthcare where they came from, and they don't know that there are services out there that can really help them. And so those are some of the types of women. We get some women that have been out of domestic violence situations. They're not like immediately
in danger,
but they have been involved, and they just don't have a support system. And you've had kids, and it's so important to have people around you that are giving you positive support. When you have an infant.
Right, you're absolutely right, and getting them off to a good start is part of the overall mission of Britepaths, to make sure that we're helping people be self-sufficient, and that's certainly learning how to manage your infant, which is not something they give you an instruction book with when they give you the baby to take home, is really important to help people manage their finances, manage their household, manage their work environment. And so I'm glad that we ended up taking on the Naomi Project. I think as Britepaths goes forward, there might be other opportunities in the upcoming next 30 years for us to continue to evolve.
Right.
So, and I want to just say thank you for being on the show. I'm going to bring Jennifer on in our next segment to talk about more specific programs and events that we do every year. Please join us after the break, and we will come back. Jennifer Rose, who is the Development Manager with Britepaths, will be talking to us about upcoming events and programs we really need your help with today. So please join us after the break.
Thank you.
One day these rats were playing in the woods. Wanted some matches and that's no good. Listen to smoke before you give it a try.
Only you.
Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about Britepaths life. Nothing very nice on a homeless mind. So if a gorgeous force is what you desire, don't play with matches. Don't play with fire.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire!
Why don't you just wash your car at home? When I wash my car, everything runs down the street and down into the storm drains. With all the chemicals in the soaps and waxes, the last thing I want to do is poison my own drinking water. At least here, it's all contained and recycled on site. That's why I also take my car in for oil changes instead of doing it myself. I might take a chance on spilling stuff. You know what the best part is?
What?
More time to kick back and watch the game.
How far would you go to protect the planet?
I want you to build an ark.
Here we go! Okay, that's good. Oh, okay. Ow!
Maybe there's another way.
People! The flood is imminent! Is it too much to ask for a little precipitation?
Go to fightglobalwarming.com to find out what you and your community can do to reduce global warming pollution.
Somewhere around the world, there are men and women of the armed forces risking their lives helping rebuild communities after natural disasters, collecting toys for needy children, tutoring kids in school. These are your sons and daughters who work to keep us safe, secure, and free. Dedicated men and women who put their country first.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Welcome back to Inside Scoop. I'm your host, Catherine Reed. Joining me in this final segment is the Development Manager for Britepaths, formerly known as Our Daily Bread, Inc. of Fairfax. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having us, Catherine.
So our relationship actually goes back a long ways, even before Britepaths, because you were with Northern Virginia Family Service, I think, when I first met you.
I was indeed.
And you came to my Rotary meeting. We are both Rotarians in different clubs, and so that is another place in which we often meet and engage in different kinds of activities, because Rotary supports Britepaths as it does many other kinds of nonprofits. And this is your mission in life, as both a Rotarian and as Development Manager, is figuring out how to make these things go.
That's right. Service is in my blood for sure. And mentioning Rotary is a great example. We have quite a few clubs that support Britepaths, and it's awesome.
Like Falls Church.
Falls Church, Bailey's Crossroads, your club, the Centerville Chantilly Club, as well as my own club, the Fairfax Rotary Club.
Absolutely. So we have, over the years, we've got some things that events people fondly remember, like empty bowls. And I think there are things that people just cling to, and they're like, oh, we love that event. But just like we've rebranded and changed our name to better reflect who we serve and what we do, some of our events have also morphed too. And so we don't do empty bowls anymore, but we do Complete the Circle. Please explain to the folks at home what that is.
Complete the Circle is probably my favorite event that we do. We're on our 7th year, I think.
7th year?
6th or 7th year of Complete the Circle. It's a food-raising event, but it's really more than that, because it brings many members of the community together, young, old, and everything in between. Essentially, we create an image on a field wearing color-coded t-shirts, and everybody that comes to the event, they bring with them a bag or 2 or 3 of non-perishable goods, toiletry items, those household things you guys were talking about earlier that you just can't get with the SNAP assistance. And they create a circle around this image, thus Complete the Circle. And it's photographed from 100 feet up in the air. It's amazing. The energy of the event is fantastic. We do it in the fall. This year it's Sunday, November the 6th. Last year we had 1,500 people in the picture.
It was pretty amazing.
And we had, I think, close to 12,000 pounds of donated items, plus gift cards and monetary donations as well. And we partner with Lorton Community Action Center. So it's a great way for Britepaths to work with another nonprofit, help them out, help their pantry out, and help people in other parts of the county who may not know us as well get to know us, and vice versa in terms of what
it's a real festival because, first of all, it's family friendly.
Very family friendly.
We have a lot of groups, scouting groups, church groups, every kind of group, and people have teams that they bring too, and they're with the color-coded t-shirts. We have the School of Rock has been playing at the Complete the Circles, and so it's really, and it's not a long, it's like 2 hours.
Officially it's from 1 o'clock to 2:30, but a big chunk of that is actually taken up with everybody gathering into the picture. It takes a lot of energy to get all
herd those people in the right spot.
Get where they're supposed to be still for as long as they need to, while our artist Daniel Dancer shoots the picture. And then it's like magic. Everybody grabs a bin and they carry them to the trucks, and everything gets carried away, and then the real fun begins of putting the groceries away when we get back to our respective warehouses.
But those kind of community events, those are twofold. It is making, we were talking earlier about why people volunteer and what makes people feel good about what they do and why they choose to volunteer in the way that they do. And Complete the Circle is such a family-friendly event. It's something where you can bring your kids and they can understand donating food, and they can understand being part of a large group project and making something. We make art every year.
Yes, we do, and the kids, the families love bringing the kids. The kids go shopping with them. The kids help pick out not just the pasta sauce, but the pasta and the Parmesan cheese that goes with it, because they want to feed people the same way they eat, and they love it. And I know you guys talked about shared values earlier.
But these families, they put so much thought into what they buy.
Right.
They'll buy the organic things and bring it in, and we absolutely love seeing that because it's so expensive to eat healthy like that. My husband and my boys and I try to do that, and it's not easy. But we see a lot of that comes in as a result of Complete the Circle. So the kids are there, they get a little bit educated about the need, their eyes are opened that some of my friends at school are hungry. They really don't understand
that. I think that is, and even for adults, I remember the one year that we pointed out that every snow day, while some kids stay at home with hot chocolate and videos and play, other kids are home with no food in the house, or parents who aren't going to work that day, which means there's no income that day. So snow days mean very different things depending on where you are in this county. And
that's right.
So, but the picture itself, the food is in a circle around the edge, the bins of food, and we do make art.
We do.
Which leads us into our second event, which is brand new, which is Artful Living.
It's not so brand new anymore.
Well, 32 years.
Yeah,
we did it for the third year.
We're working on our third one. It's a great partnership with Spotlight on the Arts in the city of Fairfax. We love our partnerships, and we do it in the spring. We're at the mercy of the Spotlight folks to find out when our date is, but it's a fantastic art show, and it's a juried art show and sale. We have artists as young as, I think we had a 5-year-old artist last year.
I'm amazed at
We've had a 90-year-old artist 1 year, and the artwork, it's amazing. We have to limit what we can have in the show due to space, but it's always just amazing and unbelievable to see how people interpret what artful living, what your struggles, my struggles, you see that person on the street, you don't know their struggles, and how do you interpret that using art? And it's a great event. We have a live auction associated with it. We have delicious wine and hors d'oeuvres, great music from a great band, Batita Differente. They've played the last few years. Sherwood Center is a great host for us.
It is. It's a good location.
And it's great. It did replace empty bowls, and a lot of people were upset about that.
But that was one of those things too, where empty bowls was not unique to us.
No, a lot of groups do it, and we keep those folks happy because we do have empty bowls, beautiful handmade pottery bowls that they can buy at the event, and that tends to make them.
And I think the other thing I like about the Artful Living event too is just because people are living in difficult times, it does not erase the fact that we all appreciate beauty and art. This is not something for the affluent. It is not something that you can afford to appreciate beauty in this world or art in this world. And I like the fact that, we are saying that art is all around us all the time, and everyone has an appreciation of it. And, in combining our fundraising efforts with the work of these artists, it does make for a wonderful event.
It's great. We generally sell close to half the pieces in the show, and we have an agreement with the artists that they split 50-50 with us, the sale monies. And oftentimes, artists will donate the entire percentage of the proceeds, which is very nice because we always hear the starving artist, and we know how much time and talent they put into it and materials, that it's just a really good event for everyone involved.
And so in November, we have Wine and Wonderment. There's a wine theme. So we do have Wine at Artful Living because that does seem to go art and wine. But Wine and Wonderment is also a great annual event.
It is. We started it, I believe, the year that I was the seasonal programs manager. It's a great partnership with 2941 Restaurant in Falls Church. This year it's November the 30th, which is a Wednesday night, I think. And all the proceeds benefit our holiday program. It's a great way for people to get involved. Helps us able to take care of families who aren't sponsored by other nonprofits or kind individuals such as yourself or my Rotary Club, who tend to sponsor families. Our board of directors the last few years has split the expenses amongst them, so 100% of the $50 charge to get into the event goes right into our holiday program. It's a lovely evening. It's 6:30 to 8:30 with nibbles. We hear about the wine that we're having, and it's just a nice time.
It is, and it's a nice way for the people who support the organization to see each other. They're people you kind of see annually.
Sometimes it's the only time of year some of our supporters see each other.
And so I really enjoy that event too. But let's talk about the seasonal programs manager, simply because you're looking for one.
We are, and I'm very sad. We've had an amazing seasonal programs manager for the last, this would have been her 4th season. It's a tough job, I won't lie. You spend a lot of hours in October, November, and December making the holidays amazing for 3,000 families.
And that's a lot.
It's a lot of work. And fortunately for Britepaths, we have an amazing system of volunteers that come and help make lighter work of the program. But we are looking for a seasonal programs manager. We have returning staff from the holiday program last year that are seasonal part-time folks that are coming back. One that moved on staff, and she's still around. I'm still around to talk about the holiday program and how things work, and we would love to have some folks, if they're interested, they can go to our website and see information about it. They can email info@britepaths.org with a resume, and we can get them in for an interview.
That would be great, because it's one of the programs that is probably, come this holiday season, people are going to be looking for Our Daily Bread.
They are.
They're going to be going like, but I always donate to Our Daily Bread. I sponsor a family through Our Daily Bread, but I can't find them. So we're really going to have to make an effort to say it's Britepaths, it's Britepaths, it's Britepaths. Yes. I know it doesn't look familiar, and I know you only do this one thing with us every year, so you keep looking for the old name, but it is Britepaths, and I think that's going to be a challenge for us.
It is, and I know that we have definitely been communicating with all of our supporters. We went way back into our database to communicate with them about the name change, with a paper mailer. We've got the email that goes out, and many of our, in fact, all of the folks who sign up to sponsor families, they sign up online. So we have their email address. We have to, because that's how we communicate with them about the family that they're sponsoring, or families if we're lucky. And so they'll be hearing from us, and right now one of the logos that we're using, Britepaths, formerly Our Daily Bread.
I know. So that brings us to your most critical need right here, right now, which is your back to school program.
It is indeed. Today was the day that our shipment came in for supplies for 2,500 students, 15 or 16 different schools that we're providing assistance to, and we're still short of our fundraising goal by about 1,000 kids, which is close to $15,000. We have a great program. We partner with Collect for Kids. We're able to take donation dollars. $1, we can buy $3 to $4 worth of supplies. We've purchased the supplies, we've committed to helping these students, but we are a little short of our fundraising goal. So if folks want to make a donation online, they can go to britepaths.org, click Get Involved, click the Donate button, doesn't matter which one, and they can find out how they can make contributions.
Yeah, and one of the things I like about that is it shows exactly, like for $75, you're doing backpacks for 5 kids. So people can see exactly what it costs to put backpacks with supplies on the backs of 5 students. So britepath.org, and you are still accepting donations, which is important.
We are.
So here in our final moments, please tell us other ways people can get involved, other ways they can support the organization.
Sure. One of the most exciting things about our name change has been our new website. And we have a great thing right in the top right-hand corner called Ways to Give. If you click on that, drops down, there's 10 different ways right there that you can donate. You can make straight donation, you can learn about in-kind donation drives, you can learn about volunteering, events, one-stop shopping to learn how to do that.
And that's great, because everybody has something different to give. Some people would rather donate, other people would rather donate online, other people would rather volunteer their time.
That's right.
Which is something, we accept all of that.
Absolutely.
Like, we said with 1,200 different volunteers, those 1,200 different volunteers are doing everything from mentoring to complete the circle,
to executing events,
and we always need volunteers.
Yep.
So thank you so much for being.
Catherine.
This has been wonderful. Please, if you britepaths.org, get involved.